In today's Leeds news, new deals for academy stars, Perry's Torino update, Tarek Muharemovic latest info, Schmidt closing in on exit, and rumour mill stories on Zetterstrom, Elvedi and Solet. Tuesday, the 14th of July, Jer here at the Leeds View with your daily Leeds United news. We do these Monday to Friday, a transfer wrap up at the weekend, and 2 podcasts a week. Last night's podcast with Andrea Russo is available on the channel. We'll link it towards the end of today's video as well if you want to check that out. Some updates on what we spoke about in yesterday morning's news. I will address the Shea stuff very quickly out of the bat. If we end up being wrong on this, I'll be the first person to hold my hand up and say, we got that wrong, and I can't trust the people that told us what they told us. But I'm okay to sit on it for right now. I did see Ben Jacobs' tweet last night. We did address it in the podcast last night. Ben Jacobs just saying that he's not aware of any other updates on it. And that seems to be what everyone else has put out. Romano and a few others this morning. Not coming from the Daily Mail, who've been running with this story, and not coming from Simon Jones as of yet. And if it does happen, it happens. I've no problem being wrong on this stuff. We're sharing information that we've been told. Happy to see this play out and see where it goes. But we'll deal with that as and when we get to it. But we've got a bit of stuff to get stuck into this morning. There is some updates coming out literally at the time of recording this. So we will start off with the new deals for the academy players that have come out this morning. So another flurry of contracts have been issued by the academy today. Will Firth has signed his first professional contract with the club. Will's signed a 1-year deal at Leeds till the end of the upcoming season. Will captained Leeds under-18s 9 times last season. He's a very versatile defender. Can play a fullback, can play a centre-back, and has been part of Scott Gardner's side as well over the course of last year. Played across the 18s and the under-21s. The fact that he's captain the under-18s as well shows that there's leadership qualities in Will Firth as well. But interesting to see how he develops over the next 12 months. Also, Kenneth Mensah, who was out on loan at Scarborough Athletic last year, he has signed his first pro deal at the club, a 2-year deal until 2028. He is also an Italian youth international. He got 5 goals last season and 22 appearances for the under-18s. Had a pretty decent loan at Scarborough Athletic. Got some senior football under his wings to try and help with his development. So well done to Kenneth Mensah. And again, both of them likely to be part of Leeds under-21s next season. Another one as well that was announced very late this morning is Josh Hamilton. He has signed a 1-year extension to his deal at the club. It's a pro deal as well until the end of 2027. Josh is another defender and has represented England at under-17 level. So again, quite a lot of these players are players that have represented either England or their own nations or different nations at youth level. So very important to get these players all locked down and good to see it. All right, let's move on. So Lucas Perry was back in pre-season training yesterday with Leeds. The players went through their testing and their initial measurements for pre-season. His future is still very much up in the air. Andrea Russo has been keeping track of this for us and the story in Italy today. And Stampa now claim that Leeds United have found an agreement with both Lucas Perry and Leeds to bring Lucas Perry to the club in Turin on a loan deal initially. Anyway, there is a crucial condition to this, and it's contingent on Leeds United signing a number 1 goalkeeper. So the Stampa, who are based in Turin and have some connections, have worked directly with Torino in the past, are reporting that an agreement in principle has been reached on all sides, and the deal will be structured as a loan. However, there is some conflicting information on this. Some are saying it will be a straight up loan. Others are saying it's a loan with a potential option to buy or even an obligation. Not confirmed right now. Now, Andrea believes that this deal is probably leaning more towards a loan with an option to buy. The crucial and most important line in this article from the Stampa is that the deal can only be finalised once Leeds find a goalkeeper. Now, Torino are said to be aware of the dependency and willing to give Leeds time to get a deal done for a new goalkeeper. But it also says that time limit is not indefinite, and if they take too long over this, Torino will move on to other targets. They've mentioned Livakovic and Ramsdale as 2 potential options for them as well. So significantly in this update, the whole thing goes back to that line in the Carl Darlow exit that was put out in the Athletic, was that Leeds United couldn't guarantee Carl Darlow first choice football because they planned to buy a goalkeeper. That now seems to be pretty much ironclad at this moment in time. If Perry is going to be allowed to go, Leeds are going to have to bring in at least 1 goalkeeper and will have to be a first choice, whether that's a James Trafford or a Suzuki or a Zetterstrom or whoever it might be, a name we haven't even heard yet. It looks like that is going to happen. How much Leeds are willing to spend on a goalkeeper will be interesting, because obviously it'll be a big chunk out of their budget. Are they going to look for free as well? A more experienced free goalkeeper that's floating around. There's plenty of names out there that could do a job as a backup keeper as well. It'll be interesting, because whatever they spend on a goalkeeper will have an impact on the budgets for other players they need to bring in outfield. And if they're not going to bring in any money for Lucas Perry, then it is an outlay of cash with nothing coming in, at least for 12 months. And if they can get something done with Perry, if he does go out before July 1st next year, maybe they can do this. But we'll have to wait and see. But that's where it's coming. And again, it is coming from Italy at this moment in time. So the usual amount of salt to get sprinkled on that one. Let's talk about Tarek Muharemovic. And you talk about differences in local journalism and Italian journalism. And this one is flopping left and right rapidly, even as of first thing this morning. So Beren Cross in The Athletic has a piece out, and he has basically put an update on Tarek Muharemovic situation. And he has used far more cautious language than Team Talk used yesterday, which isn't a surprise when you're talking about The Athletic and Team Talk. Cross does confirm that Muharemovic is a player that's on Leeds United shortlist. The 23-year-old fills the gap of what Leeds are exactly looking for as a replacement for Pascal Struijk. But there is a key line in this piece, and it says this: Ellen Road sources speaking anonymously say Muharemovic is liked, but no prospective deal has gone further than that. So a move for Muharemovic hasn't advanced from the admiration phase. That's what we've heard an awful lot this summer already. To swallow their side on this, their sources believe it will be difficult to keep hold of Muharemovic this summer should a Premier League side put money on the table. And they are expecting a sale of the Bosnian international, but they have yet to receive a concrete bid. Now, Team Talk reported over the weekend that a verbal contract had been given to his representatives. Fabrizio Romano also reported the exact same thing about a verbal contract. But Beren Cross says that direct sources at the club say no deal has gone any further than admiration. Now, both things can be true in this situation. From a club-to-club perspective, it might not have gone any further than sussing it out whether the player is available for a move, what the likely price tag would be. And from a player perspective, Leeds could have presented personal terms towards his agency to see if there's a desire or the player has any interest in moving to Leeds before they then move to putting a concrete offer on the table to the club. But at this moment in time, nothing is said to have happened. Now, Adam Pope in BBC's Don't Go to Bed Just Yet also spoke about Muharemovic and said that there is interest in him, but is he likely to sign for Leeds in the next 24 to 48 hours? No, he expects it to rumble on a little bit further. Now, a piece that's come out straight away this morning from Fabrizio Romano as we started to record this says this: more on Tarek Muharemovic and Leeds United exclusive story. Talks continue club to club side as Bosnian defender has opened the doors to a move as revealed. Negotiations underway over a fee, but LUFC are confident. The Leeds have said they'll be strategic around their moves this summer. That appears to be very, very clear. There's a lot of players on short lists. They seem to be interested, but not moving necessarily in anybody too quickly. So they seem to be trying to get the right profiles for the right price that will come in and make the quickest amount of impact. And they're weighing up all of their options. But pre-season is underway right now, and players do need time to get bedded in and get used to Daniel Farke's systems and style of management and training and all of that. And the sooner they can come in, the more likely they are to hit the ground running once the season starts properly. A £34 million fee has been talked about this morning. There is reports also out today that Leeds will be making an official bid today. Again, that's all coming from the Italian side of things, and we know how credible that can be up until this moment in time. So still a lot of ground to run on that one. It does appear to be an advancing story. Whether it continues to advance on this side of the water from Europe or ends up just being a story that rumbles on in the Italian media, we'll wait and see what happens. Let's move on talk about Isaac Schmidt. One of the players expected to leave Leeds this summer is fullback Isaac Schmidt. Swiss newspaper Berner Zeitung reported today that young boys have moved ahead of FC Bâle in the race to sign the Swiss fullback. Young boys are said to be looking to revamp their defence next season and are now seen as the front runners to get Isaac Schmidt's signature this summer. The interesting piece on this coming from the article in Switzerland is that there's no real detail on a structure of a deal. Leeds are said to want £2 to £2.5 million for Isaac Schmidt. There's no detail on this, whether it's a permanent move, whether it's a loan with an option or a loan with an obligation, at least right now. But all the language on this seems to be fairly positive, seems to be very clean, and there seems to be a desire from all the parties to try and get a deal done as soon as possible on this. Young boys are said to be working through their rebuild. Schmidt fits the profile of what they're looking for because he can play as a fullback, a wingback, or even as a wide player, as he did for Leeds in the Championship. So yeah, that one looks like it could be boxed off relatively soon. We'll see where it goes. There's two clubs in the mix, and it's coming from a relatively reliable source in the Swiss media. So we'll see where that one goes. Wasn't pictured yesterday in pre-season testing. None of the loanies that returned were pictured. So interesting to see where they go. Leeds under 21s do have a friendly in the next couple of days, I believe. Interesting to see if any of the loanies go out on that match and train with them or play with them, and with which squad they'll be part of going in to the new pre-season with Daniel Farke's first team side. So that's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. But yeah, it looks like Isaac Schmidt's time at Leeds is coming to an end pretty quickly. Let's move on. We'll get into some rumour mill stuff now, and we'll clarify some of the deals that are floating around this morning. We'll start with Jacob Zetterstrom. Football League World, or FLW, they claimed this morning that Eintracht Frankfurt are making a move for Jacob Zetterstrom. Fabrizio Romano, when he labelled Leeds as an interested party a few months back, or a month or so, he also mentioned Wolves and Eintracht Frankfurt as interested parties. Frankfurt are now believed to be making their move for the goalkeeper. Leeds are still labelled as having interest in the goalkeeper, but nothing more than that at this moment in time. And Frankfurt is seen as having genuine interest and being competition for Leeds in getting his signature, and they're the only side that appear to be now making a move for Zetterstrom. So we'll see if that develops. Football League World, hit and miss from a credibility perspective. Says me, who's talking about Shea Charles for the last 2 days. We'll see. Let's talk about Nico Elvedi. All right, so Nico Elvedi's popped up again. Rheinische Post in Germany have said that no official bids have been received by Gladbach for Nico Elvedi from any club at this point. But Gladbach's stance on this is said to have changed. Gladbach had hoped to keep hold of Nico Elvedi this summer. They are now apparently expecting an exit of the player this summer. Leeds were rumoured to be interested in him this time last year, January, and again early in the summer window this year. That went away, went pretty quiet. It's now come back as interest again. Leeds may be looking for another right-sided centre-back should Sebastian Born now move away from the club. So maybe that's where the interest is. The Farke relationship with Nico Elvedi is the strongest connection here, and that could be all that is. Elvedi is believed to be open to a move to the Premier League. Gladbach reckon if a Premier League club comes in for him, he will move. But at this moment in time, no official bid has gone in from any club to Gladbach to buy Nico Elvedi. It is still very much a rumour at this moment in time, but he has got some form of relationship with Noah Okafor as well, and maybe they had a chat over the World Cup as well to see if he'd like to move to Leeds United. But at this point, still parked very much in the rumour mill link stage, nothing formal, nothing concrete right now. Let's talk about Oumar Solet and an update from yesterday. So Messaggero Veneto via Udinese blog today have reported that Leeds United are serious about a move for Udinese centre-back Oumar Solet, and Udinese are open to a sale of the defender. Udinese are believed to need funds to try and strengthen other areas of the park, and they possibly see Solet as a make-weight to try and bring in those funds that they'll need to spread more evenly across their squad, a rebalancing happening of their team. Italian journalist Francesco Guerrieri said yesterday that Leeds were interested. He's gone further again today to say that Leeds have spoken with his representatives and are pushing to try and get a move done for Solet. Solet's agency is an interesting one in this situation. He's represented by Unique Sports Group, who also represent Harry Wilson. So Leeds have already dealt with that agency this summer. Maybe that's a factor. Maybe it isn't. But Inter Milan are also said to have interest in the centre half. And should they get involved, the outlet says they're likely to be the favourites and the likely destination for Solet. He could be one of a number of players Leeds have on a short list, or as a backup should they not be able to get Muharemovic in. But nothing crystal clear on this one. And again, only being reported on the Italian side of things right now. And again, we know the track record when it comes to the Italian media and using Leeds United's name to get clicks. We'll see where we go. And again, just to box it all off on the Shea Charles stuff, we'll see what happens with that over the next couple of days. If I had said to you Ben Jacobs was telling you Leeds were going to sign a player, 90% of you in the comments would be telling me it's Ben Jacobs, come on. So we'll see. Ben saying that nothing else has changed. There's still loads of clubs interested in him. We'll see if the information we got is right. And if it's wrong, I'll tell you it's wrong. I'll hold my hands up and we'll move on from it. And we won't do that again. This is the first time in 3.5 years we've stuck our head above the parapet to kind of tell you what we've been told by somebody. And if it's not right, it's not right. We'll move on. It'll be that simple. Folks, thanks for joining me as always. Thanks for supporting the channel. It's very much appreciated. You can check out last night's podcast over here somewhere, as well as yesterday's news. And below are the links for the nominations for the Football Content Awards, which closes on the 5th of August, I think. So if you want to nominate us for that, you are very welcome to do so. I'll talk to you soon. See you later. Bye.